Yes.
Hi everyone. My name is Kevin Whitehead. I teach Spanish at the high school, and I was fortunate enough to receive a BEF grant, a teacher grant last year entitled Chile: The Long-Lasting Legacy of Political Turmoil. And so my plan is I'm going to talk a little bit about my goals going in, my trip, and then how it's affected my practice, my students, and my units. So going into the process, I said I think it's really important, particularly for a Spanish teacher, to have a diverse range of touch points with the Hispanic world. So I lived in Spain for 4 years. I love Spain. It's my happy place. However, the Hispanic world is bigger than Spain. So I said, okay, I can apply for something. I need to go somewhere completely new, linguistically a little different type of Spanish, different culture. Why did I end up going to Chile, you might ask? Why you want to go to that long, skinny country at the bottom of South America? So, ever since I started at BHS, this is my 4th year, I've been teaching a unit about Chile. And something I've had like a strong interest to go, learned all about this place, never been, but there was a little like nagging thing in the unit that it wasn't closing right. So we talk a lot about positive representation in our curriculum. And that looks like, in world language, we have the ability to decide what cultures, what stories that we tell, and under what lens are we telling them. And my Chile unit, it was about the transition from democracy to dictatorship back to democracy in the 1970s and 80s and 90s in Chile. And I just had the urge, I'm like, I want to end this on a different note. I want to find stories of empowerment, of resistance, and end this on a different tone. So I went down to Chile, I went to Santiago, spent a lot of time in the capital city there. Some of the highlights, I went to the Museum of Human Rights and Memory, dedicated to the victims of the dictatorship. Took city tours everywhere. I actually toured the Chilean White House. They let you do that? They let me do everything? The president was like in the next room. Instead of the tour guy was like, lights on, is he there? He's like, yep. It was amazing. So in total, I spent about 20 days in Chile, and then I was lucky enough, I applied for the Charlie Baker Legacy Award, which is to extend a trip. So I applied and was granted additional funding. I went to Peru, and at that point I kind of shifted my thinking. I wanted to learn more about the Incan Empire, the indigenous cultures of Peru, particularly in the highlands, so I centered myself in Cusco, went to about a dozen archaeological sites, museums of indigenous art, hiked to the top of Machu Picchu. Doesn't suck. It's amazing. So I just had all these incredible experiences down in Chile and Peru. Now I'll transition to the last part, talking about how has this affected my teaching, how has this affected my units, how has this affected my students. First and foremost, I get a call from a coworker in August who teaches Spanish 2 with me at the high school, and she says, I wrote a book that I want to use to teach in our Spanish 2 class. I said, oh, that's awesome, good job. Where is it centered? Peru. Okay, just spent 10 days there, great. So we edited her book. We ended up teaching a 2-month unit in Peru based on these cultures that I was there learning about completely kind of out of the blue. So I was able to take a lot of cultural aspects and put them into the book and then make side units or side cultural lessons. For instance, we taught the kids about indigenous languages of Peru. We did some lessons teaching them words in Quechua, which is the most spoken language, like 4 to 5 million native speakers in Peru. And then transitioning to my Chile unit, I went in with this goal. I want to end this. I want to talk this unit, talking about empowerment, talking about resistance, changing the tone of this. Day 5, I'm at a coffee shop, having coffee in the morning. On the TV, breaking news, Chilean Congress to submit new constitution draft to president this afternoon. There it is. So the Chilean constitution was rewritten by the dictator in the 1980s and has not been changed since. So Chileans are finally taking back power, putting in what they want to see, changes they want to see made, highlights including educational equality, protection of indigenous rights. So this is how I can end my unit. So for the next 5 days in Chile, every single person I developed any sort of relationship with, I was like, can I get you on record? I'm a Spanish teacher. I want to record this. I want you to talk to my kids, basically. So I recorded a bunch of interviews talking to people. Hey, what does the new constitution mean to you? What does this mean for the future of Chile? What have been the issues in society? And I'm currently in that unit, and I see the more hopeful tone to end that on instead of this negative tone that we were coming at from before. So I'll just end by saying my trip, was one of the greatest trips of my life, both personally and professionally. It was incredibly engaging and rewarding, and just thank you to all the BEF donors and admin and everyone. And the last thing I'll say is, like, I know one day in the future I'll be on a hiring committee for a Spanish position, and you can bet to whatever candidate I'll be like, hey, by the way, we have this thing called BEF. Let me tell you about when they sent me to Chile and Peru. It was awesome. Come work at Brookline. But like Catherine said, in terms of attracting and retaining quality educators and making Brookline a rewarding place to work, the BEF just goes an enormous way. So thank you to everyone. And have a nice night.